Hello and welcome to Jamie TV, streaming 100% live on YouTube. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you are new to the channel, then welcome. Thank you very much for taking a chance on the channel. And if you are a regular viewer, then thank you very, very much for your support. Now, today this is going to be a very new kind of a video for me. This is my first venture into talking about Android devices. The reason that I'm doing this is because so many people have asked me about making music on Android phones. And although I am very much an Apple guy, in our house, I'm an Apple guy, and my other half, she is an Android user. And so we've had this kind of, jokey conflict for years now about which is better. And I've got to be honest, as far as phones go, she has more than adequately proved to me that in many ways Android phones are better than iPhones. But when it comes to making music, it's very much the reverse. There are a couple of very large limitations to Android phones that make them not as good as iPhones for making music, and it's a real shame. But I'm not here to talk about what you can't do with an Android. I'm here to talk about what you can do, because at the end of the day, if you're an Android user and you want to make music with it, then who cares if it's not as good as an iPhone? Maybe you make music with some desktop software. Maybe you use Cubase on your desktop, and you'd like to be able to write something, jam around with some music while you're commuting to work, or spending time with family at Christmas, pretending that you want to be there. That kind of thing. So what happened was, when I bought the missus a new phone, I asked if I could have her old one. So this here is an S8. Now, I know very, very little about how to actually use an Android phone, but I do know how to use Cubasis 3 because I've been using it. I've been using Cubasis for years on my iPad and more recently on my iPhone. So what I'm going to do with this video today is I'm going to just kind of dive in, because when you're talking about a digital audio workstation, there are so many aspects to it that it's very, very difficult to know where to start. So I'm just going to dive in and I'm going to show you a bunch of things. I'm not going to try and go too deeply into any one thing, and just kind of give you a general idea of what it's capable of. So I guess this video is really for someone who might be thinking, should I buy it? Is it going to be worth my while? And then what I'll do is I will do more streams and I will go deeper into each area. So today I'm not going to be connecting an audio interface. What we're doing actually is this cable here. This is just a stereo mini jack coming out of the headphone socket, which is going to my mixing desk, and that is routing the audio into the stream that you're hearing. And here we have a connection for this keyboard, which is an Irig Keys. It's the original Irig Keys, and this was designed with the iPad very much in mind. In fact, it came with one of those horrible old clunky adapters that the iPhones used to have. I can't remember what they call them now. Can anyone in the chat remember what they called them? But yeah, it came with one of those adapters. But all I had to do was plug into the mini USB connection on the side of the keyboard, and this is a regular USB connection, and this is an adapter just to change it to mini USB so that it works with the Samsung. Anyway, Paul in the chat says he much prefers his Android phone, and yet he makes music on an iPad. So yeah, that tells you something, I think. Okay, right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dive in. Now, if you're familiar with digital audio workstations, you'll already kind of have an idea of what it is that you're looking at, but I'm going to present this kind of coming from the point of view of someone who might be completely new to this, so that I'm kind of covering all bases. And if I'm telling you stuff that you already know, then, well, my apologies, but I can't sort of gear the video just, you know, to individuals. So what we'll do is we'll add a track. That's where we'll start. So to add a track, I come down here to the plus sign at the bottom to add track, and then it asks me whether I want to add an audio track, a MIDI track, or a group track. Now, I'm not going to be adding an audio track today because I've no audio interface attached, but I will be doing that in the next video. So yes, you can record vocals, guitar, whatever instrument you want to mic up or plug into an audio interface. Today we're just going to be dealing with MIDI, so I'll press the MIDI channel. Now, pianos, as far as I'm concerned, should be white, because my mum had a white piano, and I've always, in Cubase, for years and years and years, coloured the track white. But sadly, Cubasis will not allow me to make a track white, but it will allow me to change the colour, so I'm going to do that right away. As a substitute for white, in Cubasis 3, I use this sort of murky, kind of sickly colour. It's sort of the colour of infection. And then what we can do is, if we wish, we can go and select a different instrument. So the first instrument that comes up is the basic acoustic piano sound, which is not playing because I haven't armed the track. There we go, arm the track. My apologies, by the way, for this slightly odd camera view. I made all these plans to do this video, and then kind of this morning I thought, how am I actually going to get a phone in shot so that it's actually visible? And it turned out to be rather awkward. I wanted it to fill the screen, but anyway I set it up so that it filled the screen, I couldn't actually see the screen of the phone to operate it. So this was kind of the best angle I could come up with, and I will try and do something better for next time. I'm looking into screen sharing the phone onto my monitor screen, and I think that will give you a much better picture. But anyway, stop waffling, you stupid hippie. Right, so we have a piano sound. Now, if I go to, let's see now, best way to get into this, if I press on the little piano icon that's come up at the side of that track, I can then go into this browser here, and I can select from various different kinds of instruments. So we have the Microsonic Instruments. These are kind of like, if anyone remembers when you used to have instrument sounds in your sound card when making music with MIDI on computers, they're the kind of the equivalent of that. They're fairly basic but quite usable sounds, and we can click on there to flick through them. I'm not going to dwell too long on showing you different sounds. I'll just select a few. And we've got, there are various different piano sounds. There are bass sounds and brass sounds, old tape strings. And we've got a church organ, which is very, very nice actually. I love the dirty rock organ. I've used this in a track. And then we've got all kinds of different sounds. Let's see now. A nice square lead. And so on and so on. There are little icons to give you an idea of what kind of an instrument it is. Although on the phone they are very, very small pictures. Studio strings. And then there are other kinds of instruments. Let's come back out of Microsonic. Now, whether you have the next instrument or not will depend on what you purchase in the store. So let's just go to the store here, which we can't see because I've put the phone into... Oh, no, we can see it. I thought that it wasn't coming up because I put it into Do Not Disturb, but no, it is here. right? So here are the in-app purchases that you can make. And we have 2 packs of effects down there at the bottom. This is classic machines, which I do suggest that you buy if you like your old classic drum machines. This is the arpeggiator from Microlog, which we'll get to shortly. And here is Roomworks, which I think actually does actually come with it. I think you just have to register it. Oh, hi, Daniel. Thanks for joining us, buddy. Thanks for being here. Yes, I agree with you, Sam. The built-in Cubasis stuff is not too shabby, and it is very usable. And actually, while I'm just mentioning that, I will just talk about those limitations of Android. So the difference, for anyone who doesn't know, between making music on an Android phone or using an iPhone or iPad, etc., is that you cannot get apps to talk to each other on an Android. So on an iPhone, if you're using Cubasis 3, you can, like here where I'm selecting instruments, we could select external instruments and external effects. So you can buy yourself a nice new reverb, you can buy yourself a nice new synthesizer or a guitar amp simulator, and you can open them up within the digital audio workstation just like you would with a plug-in on a computer. You can't do that on Android, and it sounds to me from the bit of research that I've done online that it is going to be quite a while before Android does allow the apps to do that. The other main limitation, actually, the one that does particularly concern me, is that I can't find any way to charge the device whilst I am using it. So the time I can spend producing with the phone is kind of limited. Although, if instead of having an interface attached, and if you don't have a keyboard attached, you can just be charging while you're, if you're just using it with headphones, then you can obviously be producing and charging at the same time. So, maybe it's not that terrible. Right, so I was wobbling on about classic machines, so let me just go back one here. So we were in Microsonic, and then I came down the list here. This is Microsonic. This is an in-app purchase, but you'll see here that we have a whole bunch of emulations of classic drum machines, and I can play them with the on-screen keys or with the keys on my keyboard. If I can just find the keys, if I just go 1 octave down on this keyboard, actually, there we go. And I'll just select a couple more. We have another emulation of the Lindrum here, and we've got an 808 style one here, and 909, etc., etc. You'll see this, you get quite a lot of different ones for your money there. And then we have the mini sampler, press on factory presets, and then you'll find that you've got some drum kits to choose from, which are much more realistic sounding than the other ones in the What's It, I forgot the name of, that I was just looking at a moment ago, the ones in Microsonic. And I have actually used these drums, a couple of these kits, in a couple of tracks, and they did sound good, particularly this one, actually. I got on with particularly well, the Aussie kit. And then and also we have some more piano sounds down here. The very bottom one, the upright piano, is actually very nice. And then at the bottom we have Microlog. Now Microlog is quite wonderful. It's kind of Cubasis's internal synthesizer, and I don't seem to have pressed on the right thing. Oh, there we are. And it's great. It's a great synth. Just play you a few sounds. Now, some of these sounds, you have to buy the arpeggiator from the store, which I didn't mean to actually press, I just meant to point to it, and now we're all over the place. This is one of the things I've found about doing production with a phone. Constantly pressing on the wrong thing because it's such a small screen. Right, so I just want to go back out there to that list. Of course, these are all ARPs because I pressed on the arpeggiator section. Stupid hippie. And as you'll see, there are a lot of presets in here. Now, in a future video, I will be having a look at this synth and showing you exactly how to dial stuff in, how to use the arpeggiator and everything, because it really is very, very good. There's one in particular that I really, really love. That reminds me of the love theme from the Flash Gordon film, the Queen soundtrack. There's a synth sound that's so like that one. I must use that in the track sometime. Anyway, so I'm going to come out of there, and okay, so we've got a track added. What shall we do with it? Let's find a bass sound. No, I'll tell you what I'm going to do first. I'm going to go like this. I'm just going to make this, if we want to make the this part of the screen area where you see your recorded information appear, if you want to make this bigger or smaller, you can just pinch and zoom and stretch, and there are these little buttons up here which you can use to make everything smaller and bigger, narrower, etc. and whatnot. This button here is to make the transport bar follow the project along. I'll be keeping my close eye on that because on the iOS version it keeps switching itself off. Even though I've reported it to Steinberg a number of times, it still switches itself off. Anyway, stop waffling, hippie, and do something useful. Right, so I think we're going to start with bass, but first of all I'm just going to drag these markers across. So these markers can be used to create a loop or to let the DAW know whereabouts you want to start your project, or if you're wanting to do drop-ins when you're recording, all those kinds of things. And a very clever producer said to me many, many years ago, never ever start recording from bar 1. Start recording after 10 bars. Because you may very well find that you come up with a new idea that you want to be at the front of the song. So, it actually for the moment doesn't really matter where this one is, but this is where I want to start the project. So, now I can use these buttons up here to send me between those tabs, or if I press this left one again, it will send me to the very beginning, and this will bring me back to where I want to start the project. I want a sound. I must stop double pressing on that. Let's find a bass sound. Was it this one I particularly liked? No, but I do like that one. So let's go with that. I think I'm going to do like a sort of a, I'm just going to do something very straightforward here. Now, I'm starting with bass, so I'm going to need a click to play along to, so I'm going to put the metronome on. And I'll just show you, if we go up to this cogwheel up here, where we go into the general settings, we can actually change the volume of the metronome, and we can also pan it left, right, or a little off center or whatever. A lot of people like to have a metronome just in one ear. So, so we can pan it all the way to one side if we wish. I'm not bothered. Kind of don't mind it being in the middle. I really don't like it being too loud. I have no idea what kind of volume 33% is going to be, so I'm just going to press play. Maybe I need it a little louder than that. Okay, what I'm going to do here is, although I could obviously play this part perfectly, right, I'm going to purposely play slightly out of time so that I can then show you how to quantize. Honest, right? So we'll come out of there, and now I'm going to go back a bar, so I've got a little count, and then I'll start playing where I want to come in. And here's where you get to have a laugh at my really shoddy playing. I am, of course, a Things with Strings player, not a keyboard player. Press record. I defy Cubasis to put that part in time. Okay, now if we want to go in and have a look at our MIDI, we double click on the part. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see just how dreadfully out of time those notes are. Right now, let's just squeeze this part down here so we can see all of the notes. Now, if I double tap anywhere on the screen, you'll see they're all now highlighted. So I'm going to go to this button next to Quantize. Now this is usually a bit of a sort of a educated guess. I'm going to ask Cubasis to quantize my notes to the nearest 16th note, and then press Quantize, which is this nice big Q here. And then we'll go and have a look, see what it's done. Okay, it's actually looking like it might be okay. So let's press play and see if it's any good. Okay, that's actually not terrible. I'm going to switch my metronome off, and I'm going to come out of here so that I can show you. We've got some excess here at the end of this MIDI part. I'm going to drag this in so that it's nice and neatly up to this bar, basically chop off the end of it. And then I'm going to press undo. I'm going to show you that if I go up here to where it says bars, if I press on there, it gives me options of where I want to snap to. So if I press off, what that means is I can make this any size I wish, or I can snap it to a half bar. I want to snap it to bar, so I'm going to set it like that, and then I'm going to go and do the front end. There we go. And because we've quantized all those notes, I'm not chopping off any notes on the front end. Then myself, I like to use Quantize as little as possible when I'm making a lot of my music, but when I'm making electronic music, then I do tend to put pretty much everything on the line. So, okay, so we've got a bass part. Now, I haven't changed the colour of the instrument, which is slack of me, because bass is purple, always purple. Now if you have this bit highlighted, it will only change the colour of the part. Unselect it, and I can change the bit at the beginning where it says the name of the instrument. Okay, right, so now I'm going to need some drums. So for this part, rather than playing it in live and then using Quantize to correct it, I'm going to show you how you draw on the screen. So I will add another MIDI part. Now drums are red, and so now I'll need to go and select an instrument, and I'm going to go and choose from Classic Machines the first Lindrum emulation, because I just love the sound of the Lindrum. Who could dislike that? Right, so what I'll do now is I'll just double click down here, and what it will do is give me a MIDI part, a blank MIDI part between the two locators. But I only need one bar. I'm just going to do something very simple. So I could either do this and drag it across, or I could go and select the end of the first bar and just press split, and the highlighted MIDI part will split in two. And because this part is selected, I can just press erase and it vanishes. Then I'll double click on this part. Now the highlighted area here is that 1 bar's worth of MIDI information, which is currently blank, and I'm going to draw on the screen the part that I want. So first thing I need to do is find whereabouts on these keys at the side my drums are, and I believe they start at C1. There we go. That's actually a little quiet. Let me just turn this up on my desk. Then I'll probably need to turn the bass part down. There we go, that's a bit more audible. Right, so I go to draw and press where I want the kick to be in the bar. Now, I think that, whoops, that was an accidental. Ignore that, edit that out of your mind. Now, if you look, I'm going to press on select to stop me from doing that again. Right, now if you look at the bar, you'll see we've got bar lines, and over here it's set to 8th notes. If I come into there and change it to bar, then what would happen is it would give me a note a bar long. So I'm quite happy with them at 16s, I think. And I'm just going to put a 4 on the floor on because it's kind of nice and easy. So we'll go with, there we go, and there, and right. I need to turn the bass down, so at this point I'm going to show you the mixing desk. Go to the mixing desk icon and a little bit more. Turn it up on the desk a little bit more. Okay. Right. Now, I'm going to add a hi-hat in there, and I think that's on there. It's on that note there. So I'm going to put the hi-hat on the offbeat, because it's impossible to be unhappy with an offbeat hi-hat. Right, okay, that's what I want, just nice and simple for now. And I'm going to press copy because that bar is highlighted. I'm pressing copy, and I move my transport bar over to the beginning of the next bar, and this track is highlighted, so it's going to copy it onto this track when I press paste. Now both bars are highlighted. Copy, move the transport bar on a bar if it will, and press paste. Once again, copy. Now it's copying all 4. Paste. Right, so now I've got bass and drums for 8 bars. Let's go to the start of there, press play. Yeah, I am finding that some of the controls are a little choppy compared to iOS Vortex. I am, but I'm not so sure whether that is not just this phone, because the S8 is not a new model. And also, what I find doesn't help with this particular phone is that the edge of the screen is curved, and when you're trying to press one of the buttons that's right up there next to that curve, it seems to affect it. It does generally work. Does generally work very well. But yes, I don't think the controls are quite as smooth as Cubasis on the iPad or iPhone, but it doesn't necessarily affect the final result. And more or less everything is actually pretty much identical. Yeah, so what shall we do here? I think we'll add one more instrument. And, oh yes, before I do that, I want the tempo of this track to be slightly slower. So I just go up to tempo here, and I'm going to just bring it down ever so slightly. You just put your finger on it and drag it down to where you want it to be. It would be nice if you could sort of tap on it and type in a tempo, but you can't. And you can't do that on iOS either. And I have complained about that as well. Yes, Vortex. I don't think I've seen anyone else doing iOS videos who uses a mouse. I do use one though when I'm doing an edited video, not a live video, when I'm doing a screen recording, so that people can see, where, because if I use my fingers, they wouldn't see me pressing on anything. So I use the mouse instead for that, so they get a pointer. But otherwise, I don't actually like using a mouse with touchscreen devices. I don't even own the keyboard that goes with the iPad. I'm going to come back to this in a moment. But first, I'm going to go and select another instrument. So I'm going to add another track, go to MIDI, and now we'll go and select our instrument. I want another instrument from Microlog, and now there's a perfectly suitable instrument in here somewhere, and I can't remember what it's called, but when I see it, he said, hoping he sees it soon. When I see it, I'll know that's the one. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I don't know what it is, but just this last kind of like couple of years, I can't remember anything. I kind of I think to myself, I should make a note of that. I should make a note of that little factoid, just in case I forget. And I think, no, I won't forget that. And then I do. Well, it looks like it's time to just start selecting some. I just need to unarm that bass track and arm this new instrument track. I like that one, but it's not the one I want. I'm going back to my list. Okay. That one's definitely not it, but that's a really cool one. And couldn't be any less what I want. Well, that's quite a nice one, actually. Could probably make that work. I'm sure the presets hide, when you're doing a live stream. But yeah, that one will probably do us for demonstration purposes. Now I'm going to play this one in live again because that will give me a chance to show you this. Now, I used the metronome when I was putting the bass part in, but now I've got drums, so I don't need a metronome to be able to attempt to play in time, but I will need a count in. So I've got my transport bar right up to where the first note begins, but if I go here and ask for a pre-count mode of 1 bar, then this should happen. What's that, Paul? The plectrum's getting closer to the edge. It's trying to escape. Yeah. I always have a plectrum on here, you know, because I'm always looking for a plectrum. I just always try and remember to leave one on the back of this keyboard, so I always know that there's one there, but it does often fall off the back, or, you know, at least on this particular keyboard it can't get stuck down the back of the keys, which has happened to me on other keyboards in the past. Right, so now I'm going to trim down this part, and I'm going to be brave and have a look at the MIDI and see how far out of time it is. And also I'm going to change the colour of it, because synths are green. Right, now that we've got that there, I can better demonstrate what I was talking about earlier, where we can change the size of the instruments. You know, so if you've got a lot of instruments in your arrangement, or you can drop them back like this, and of course you can also drop this window back like this, so you can better see your arrangement window. I do tend to leave it like this myself. Okay, so let's have a look at that MIDI and see how we'll get off draw there before we have an accident. See how terrible it is. I didn't record everything in. Now why is that? It missed some of it. Maybe, oh hi Alex, thank you for joining us. Maybe with an external screen besides the tiny graphics. I have fat fingers, so I couldn't use that on a phone. It is a fiddle. It is a fiddle. I have to say, right, when they first made Cubasis 3 for iPhone, I didn't think I would use it. For anyone who doesn't know, if you've bought it for iPad, you can also download it onto your iPhone, as long as it's, you know, on the same Apple account, and it doesn't cost you any more. There's an iPhone version, and when they did that, I did not think I would use it at all. I did end up having a fiddle with it, you know, when I just didn't have an iPad with me and I had nothing to do and I was, you know, bored. Hi Gerald, thanks for joining us. But yeah, you know, eventually I did start using it. I don't use it anything like as much as my iPad, but I do use it. It is a bit of a fiddle, but I have very, very tiny fingers. I'm a very small person with tiny hands. So I imagine, you know, for anyone with larger fingers, yeah, that could be a real issue. One thing I am very interested in is finding out what Android tablets can actually run Cubasis 3, because I did do some research, not enough yet, I have to say, I have to be honest about it, but I did find initially a lot of people saying that this tablet won't run it and that tablet won't run it. So we could do with a comprehensive list somewhere of which actually do. Samuel, iPhone 8 is great. What a fantastic phone. It's still a great phone. I would have been quite happy to hang on to mine. My daughter has my iPhone 8 now, and I really wanted to keep it in here as a spare phone, extra camera kind of thing. But yeah, my daughter has it now, and she better be looking after it. So it didn't record all of my MIDI. I don't know why it didn't do that, but you know, what we'll do is we'll not cry about it. We'll just do it again. But this time, I may play it on a higher octave and bring the volume down a bit. So I did think it was just a little bit much. Okay, let's give that another try. Played that last chord late on purpose, obviously. Now it's still not recorded my first chord. Look, you can see that from here. So tell you what we'll do. Let's just go back a bar and we'll record it over the top here. I can't do that. I need to put the metronome on. Yes. So therefore I don't need a pre-count. Okay, let's do it like that. Right, okay. So now that'll give me a chance actually to show you something to a metronome of. I'm going to do this and then select both of these MIDI parts. If I want to select more than one thing on the screen, I go up here, top left hand corner, and I press on select both parts, and then we press glue, join them together, and then I can go in and I can do my editing. Right, now double tap to select everything. Let's go and quantize it and see if it's not corrected it enough, because my playing was that bad. So let's try snapping it to bar. There we go. Yep, that's taken care of it. So now that that's all in time, I can accidentally move that where I don't want it to be. I can trim. Now I've just accidentally demonstrated something. Switch that off. Right, now if you press and hold on a part, it will automatically set you up a loop that goes just around that bit. Don't want it to do that, but I accidentally pressed on it, so I thought I'd tell you what it was that it actually did. Okay, so now I've got 3 instruments in my very simple little arrangement here. I'm going to press play. In fact, I'll leave the loop on. I'm going to go to my mixer and show you that you can mute an instrument, you can solo an instrument, these controls further down here relate to automation, which is definitely something for a later video. But yes, if anyone was wondering, you can automate effects, pans and volumes and all that kind of caper. We can mute and solo from here. And we can select an instrument and go to its channel strip on the left here. And do all the same, mute, solo, access the automation buttons, arm the track. Right, now I'm not going to go on for too much longer. I'm just going to show you a couple more things, because like I said, I just wanted this to be an overview, just kind of a getting started kind of a thing. I'm just going to press this button up here and just show you this is where we would find things like our other projects, where we would mix tracks down and where we would find those mixes once we've mixed them down. If we import any audio from another source or a MIDI arrangement from another source, we would find the audio and those MIDI parts in these folders here. And what's really, really nice about Cubasis is that you can create your own folders and set up your own filing system, and the sharing facility for each mixdown or file or whatever is actually quite excellent. If you're wanting to share to an email, to Dropbox, put it in the cloud, whatever, it's that's all pretty good. Actually, that's an excellent point, Vortex. And it's actually would be a really good idea to show you that now, considering what I'm going to do next. So, Vortex says, show the CPU usage, if I can speak correctly, whilst it's all running. So, I'm going to press play and press on System Info. Just stop it a moment. So, this bar down here is telling you what the digital signal processing is taking up. Now, on the iPhone, this would say CPU and DSP because they are two different things. On this version, it just shows you the digital signal processing, and it's kind of having a bit of a dance around between 30 and 40%. It is a bit all over, to be honest. When I first started there, it did go up to about 70%, but you have to bear in mind that this is quite an old phone now. It's just all I have. That is correct, Samuel. Yes, at the moment there is no known supported device list. Steinberg are quite happy to provide all the specs about what the device needs to have. But there's one way to know whether you can run Cubasis 3 on your device or not, and that is to go to the Play Store, and if it allows you to download it, you can. It's not gonna allow you to pay for it if your device can't run it. Now, of course, if you're one of those naughty people who's wanting to run a cracked version of it, there is no way. There is no way of really knowing. And it's amazing over these last few weeks just how many people have had the audacity to contact me and ask me how to get a cracked version of the app working on their Android phone. And I've no help whatsoever with that, because I wouldn't do that, and I'm certainly not going to help anyone else to do it. So what I'm going to do next before I finish today is I'm just going to show you the effects. So let's add some effects to the drums. I'm just going to press on the drums here and solo the drums, and then I'm going to go to insert effects. Now, in a digital audio workstation, just like in a real studio, we've got two different kinds of effects. We've got insert effects and send effects. Now, an insert effect is only going to apply to that one instrument, whereas a send effect, you can set it up and then send as many of the other instruments to it as you wish. So we'll look at insert effects first, and what I do is I press in the first blank window, and I'm just going to go back here, and these are the effects that we can choose from. Now, I have noticed that the wave effects that are available in the iOS version are not present. And I wasn't actually aware that you couldn't get them on this version. That's something I need to have a little look into. But anyway, so there are some internal effects that come with the app, and they are all pretty effective. They do what it says on the tin. We've got everything from reverb to compressors, and we've got noise gates and filters and chorus, etc., etc. We've even got a little amp sim, and then FX Pack 1 and 2, these are the in-app purchases, and these are kind of sort of slightly more in-depth, slightly tastier, and slightly more unique takes on certain effects, like tape delay, stereo width, and there's a bit reduction one which is particularly nice actually, and the pan and tremolo is really, really good. So what should we put on the drums? We'll just use an internal effect, I think, and we'll use some overdrive to just beef up those drums a little. Just going to take down the gain just in case it's super loud. Right, turn up the drive. Just want them to kind of just get a little dirty. There we go. Right, now let's stick a reverb on those drums. So reverb is the kind of effect that we might want to send lots of instruments to. If you do use reverbs and delays, effects like that in this kind of way, it saves an awful lot of CPU, it saves on your digital signal processing, and actually it's a really good way to make a track, because if you're wanting it to sound like if you want it to sound like a band playing together in a room, and sending a lot of different things to the same reverb will help you get that sort of knitted together kind of a sound. And maybe not so much for electronic music, perhaps, but still, there was a time when there would, of course, only have been one reverb sound available in the studio, and that's the case on many classic recordings from the past that we love. So bear that in mind. Right, so I'm going to go to Send Effects and press in the first little blank window. And I'm going to select Roomworks because this is a really, really nice reverb. And press play and arm the effect. That always helps. Now if I press back on the list browser here and press on Roomworks and rearm the loop, press on factory presets, and we get some presets, obviously. Now really, for an included reverb, that's really not a bad sounding reverb, is it? So let's just have a listen through a few examples of that reverb. Ambient room. It's really, really nice. now that I've added some effects, watch the DSP. Right, I didn't expect it to be quite as safe as that. It has gone up a bit, but so what was it then that I did the other day that made it go a bit doolally? Let's add another effect. I've got to finish in a couple of minutes because Doug will be streaming, but maybe it was tape delay. Right, so I'm going to add tape delay, and I'm going to just go and switch these two effects round. Or can I not do that in this version? I don't seem to be able to change the order of the effects. Oh, that's odd. Oh. No, I can't drag them. Oh well, let's just see what it sounds like that way around. I mean, it won't be the end of the world if it sounds naff, will it? Right, let's go through a couple of tape delay presets here. Right, okay. Okay, that sounds terrible. I just wanted to demonstrate something, but it didn't happen. The other day, I added about 3 effects to the drums. I'm sure one of them was delay, and the DSP was really peaking. But so you know, so it was okay, right? So that's good. So that's all good. Now I hope that has been reasonably helpful and informative. Now, what I would like from here, if anyone is watching this who is interested in making music on an Android device, then tell me in the comments below what you would like to see featured in upcoming streams. If you're wanting to know about things like time stretch, interfaces, importing audio, samples, blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is that you'd like to know more about, then throw them into the comments so that I can put them on the list and make sure I feature them in an upcoming stream soon. I'm going to try to do this each Monday evening at this time, although of course we've got Christmas coming up, so it might be an issue. But thanks ever so much to everyone who has been here and watched the stream. I really appreciate your time. And hello, Audible. Have you just got here, dude? And yeah, thanks for watching. So take good care of yourselves. Be wonderful people. Check out all my information below the video, how you can buy my merch, listen to my music, make a donation, check out my website, all that stuff. And I will see you very soon. I will be back with another stream tomorrow at the same time, where I'm going to be doing ambient guitar sounds, right? So that should be nice. All right, take care of yourselves, make lots of music, and do not piss your pants about. See you later.